Hello, and a good Woche, good week. Shabbos Nachamu. When we learned on Thursday nights, sure, in Torah Zayin, Torah 7 of the Maran second Chelek, we talked about the Makifim that come in, that this is the main joy of the world to come. Um, in Torah Chaf Aleph, first Chelek, Rabbi speaks about Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. He's talking about the Makifim coming in. Uh, and it says that the Makif coming in is the main Nachamu. That usually the process of making the Makif come in Torah Zayin Chelik Beis, the Rebbe says that it is by teaching and giving das to others and combining perspective of a son with a perspective of a Talmud. And that's the way to reach the Makifim in. In Torah Chaf Aleph, the first Chelek, Rebbe speaks about preparing the faculties, the mental faculties, to switch the brain from um, a natural centric brain to supernatural, to spiritual brand of learning, which is the Sogas HaMakif. Because natural learning includes, repetition and the creation of foundation, the academic foundation for whatever goal you want to reach. I mean, you start with 1 + 1 is 2, and 2 + 2 is 4, and eventually you get to high math. You can't skip the first steps in order to get to the 100th step. But when you're talking about a sogas hamakifin, we're talking about a seichel, a mental learning or perceptive ability, which is beyond nature. It's not a creation of a conclusion, the natural way of doing things, but it's a bringing in of a level of comprehension that always existed. You just didn't have the mental faculties, to comprehend it. And in Terech HaFalach, the Rebbe says that there can be a situation where, you have a makif, and once the makif comes in, then the makif beyond it becomes your immediate makif, and so forth and so on. It's a never-ending process. I said sometimes the makif gets stuck, and it doesn't, from being beyond makif to becoming a makif, it gets stuck and it doesn't come forth. And then it says the way to unstick it is by calling out, by screaming out HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the 70 voices that David said over the water. So basically, the calling out that a person does is a break out from the natural state towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and says that you're reaching for something which you don't know what it is. You don't even know where it is. It's almost like um, a woman, an expecting woman that cannot give birth, that has to be a certain, she has to call out 70 voices before and it can be a breakthrough for her, and for a birth to occur. Mentally and intellectually, it's the same thing. What you're looking for is you're looking for a birth. You're looking for a birth of a new seichel, of a new understanding. And the calling out of the 70 voices that David said in order is parallel to the 70 voices that a woman about to give birth has to call out, before she gives birth. Anyhow, that the makif and the makif to makif, Rabbi calls it Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. It's a consolation upon consolation. So the Asogas HaMakifim is not just the just rejoicing of the Olam Haba, it is also the main consolation over what it is that we're experiencing now. We are, Baruch Hashem, God-centric. We're a God-focused society. I mean, when we do what we need to do, or we don't do what we need to do, the way that we evaluate ourselves as a God-centric society is how close we are to what we need to do and how far we are. I mean, why is Reb Chaim Kanievsky Reb Chaim Kanievsky? Because he was that closer. Why am I so low? Because I'm as far as I am. Mashenkin, in the natural world, as it were, the one that doesn't play with the toy but plays with the box, but then is like, listen, I can play in movies better than Chaim Kanievsky ever could. So yay to me, or something like that. It's like um, there's a whole slew of different invented human endeavors to be playing soccer or basketball or baseball or painting or playing music or climbing mountains or racing cars or whatever. Okay, and each one, who is greater, a painter or a mountain climber or whatever. This is a society that is not God-centric. It's a society that is nature-centric. It's Olam Hazeh-centric. So each one can say, I'm the greatest because I'm in my own little whatever. It was funny. My niece used to work on the Israeli Harp Association. Now, I don't know, I'm willing to bet a rotten egg against all the rice in China that he never knew that Israel had a harp player association. But he does. The fact that there are exactly 2.5 people playing harp in Israel, that doesn't stop an association from starting. And it's not only that. And she also told me that you would know what I mean. It's a tiny society, really. I mean, not 2.5 people, but it's tiny. It's a tiny population of players that belong to the association. And she said the kind of intrigues and backstabbing that is going on in this minuscule harp playing association. And it's like almost, excuse me for saying, it's almost like seeing like, guinea pigs are very sweet animals. But when you put them together, a lot of them together, you see all kinds of conniving and backstabbing, whatever it is. These little animals, and like, gossiping about whatever. It's just, the Nachamu is tied hand in hand with the calamity of Tisha B'Av. Because when it comes to Tisha B'Av, why we lamenting? I mean, that's been this for what about 2,000 years? And okay, so we know that the madrega that the people had when there were sacrifices, the offerings that brought, to Beis Hamikdash, the spiritual level of our conception and comprehension, where like it's almost like for us to try to understand, it's almost like a donkey trying to understand the concept of thinking of a person. Oh, it's just a different universe. But okay, but what's it got to do with me? I'm here. I'm living now. I'm not. The answer is we are God-centric. We own the vision. The vision is getting close to Hashem, learning Torah, getting close to tzaddikim, uh, um, praying, doing mitzvahs, Mus Chesadim. It's all measured on how close we are to being what Hashem wants us to be. That's the only measuring stick. In the meantime, you can be a millionaire, billionaire, zillionaire, whatever you want to be. It doesn't matter. You don't take it with you. Main thing is the vision. Vision is chazon. That's why before Tisha B'Av, you have the Shabbos chazon, the Shabbos of Nevuah. How connected are you to the vision of Am Yisrael getting, being predicated on closest or distance from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That's it. We're not judged on anything else. Not on how many Nobel Prizes we win, not how much money we have. I don't know how pretty we look. Nothing, none of that. Only how close, or chas v'chalila, the opposite we are from Hashem. That's it. Nothing else matters. So that's why before Tisha B'Av we had Shabbos Chazon, when we were talking about being connected to that vision. So the minute that you lament the destruction of the proximity and the closeness and the intimacy to Hashem Yisborach, you're automatically connected to the consolation, to Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. Because one is that when you are lamenting, you belong already to the salvation of it. You don't lament something that you have no connection to. You don't feel embarrassed of the fact that the bird can fly and you can't. You don't belong there. It's not your milieu. It's not the universe you live in. So that's why we said anybody who laments for Yerushalayim merits in seeing its joy, its rejoicing, because it's two sides of the same vision, two aspects of the same vision. So, without further ado, let's just say it's Ma'aser of Baal Shem Tov to guarantee Am Yisrael Hashem best not perfect week. Let's take a quick look here, and here we go. Just a second. Okay. In one of the trips of the Baal Shem Kodesh, he once stayed by a very, very simple Jewish farmer, and as it was the Baal Shem Tov's and the Shem Tov was meeting Derech, he woke up in Chatzos, and he saw that person, that villager, also wakes up from his sleep and takes a very old, very thick siddur that had the prayers of all year long, of the entire year, and starts saying page after page after page after page, all the brachas, all the tefillas, everything, Yom Chol, Shabbos, Yom until daybreak. When the Baal Shem Tov saw, he felt pain. Such a tremendous Yid every single night. So he's going to sing brachas levatal, so many, unnecessary brachas. Brachas levatal is not a small thing, and it's something. The punishment thereof is very, very severe. So the Baal Shem Tov decided that before he's going to leave, he will alert that simple Jew to the fact, that you should just say the brachas that have to do with that day. And so after the chakras that the villager gave him, when he meant to go, the Baal Shem Tov mentioned something about, the great severity of the prohibition of saying unneeded brachas, and the possible, eventual price to pay. So when that villager heard the Baal Shem Tov say, he said, "Oh, the Haliga Rebbe, what shall I do? I'm a totally amaretz. I don't know anything. I never learned anything. The only thing that I know is how to read the letters. So this is where I'm an orphan for my childhood. Nobody could teach me, except that my late father, was davening in this siddur every single day. That's what I do. I use it to say davening every single day. I don't know how to make a difference between one bracha and another. I don't understand. I don't know what they mean. Just know the letters. That's why, when I'm doing this siddur, I feel that I was yaitze. For sure, I said what I had to say. Because I don't understand. I don't know what to say, what not to say. So what should I do? What can I do, to be yaitze, before my Father in heaven? And it says, now that you come to save me from bracha levatala, now, my world has been destroyed. Not only am I working so extra hard, to daven every single day, I'm also going to be punished for it. So when the Baal Shem Tov heard these words coming from, his very innocent heart, he decided to help this Yid to daven properly. And he asked him, if I'm going to help you, I'm sorry, put all the prayers in order. What you to do on Yom Chol, what to do on Shabbos, whatever, would that help you? So the villager said, with gladness, of course, I'll do whatever you say, as long as, to be saved from the punishment of saying brachas in vain. So the Baal Shem Tov asked him to bring a pile of straw, and Baal Shem Tov put, the straw, one piece of straw, in a place in the siddur after the tefillah of Yom Chol, and then afterwards, this is how much and what you have to say every single day. And this is how he took another piece of straw, and put it, after tefillah. So Shabbos, and then he put, a big straw, and then he said, for Rosh Chodesh, then a big straw, a bigger straw for Yom Tov, and an even bigger one for the Miroim, so forth and so on. He sort of like Baal Shem Tov went with the villager, with the seder of all the straws that he poured into the seder, until the villager remembered well every size straw, what it belonged, what it denotes. This one is it tefillah of a regular day, this is tefillah of Shabbos, tefillah of Yom Tov, so on and so on. Now you'll be saved from saying brachos in vain. When the Baal Shem Tov, went, he continued his journey, and very shortly after, the great gladness that was filling the villager was gone. What happened was he wanted to put the siddur, on its place, and all the pieces of straw fell out of the siddur. So his heart shattered. I mean, what's he going to do now? He doesn't have any simmer from the beginning of the prayer till the end of the prayer. He doesn't know. So from now on, he can't daven the way he used to. He doesn't know how to daven properly, and the way he used to, he can't. He didn't know what to do. So, and Hashem told me, for brachas in vain are very punishable. So he didn't know what to do. So he was so broken and so bitter, he decided to run out and try to, catch up to the Baal Shem Tov. And when he got to the river, he was astonished to see the Baal Shem Tov crossing the river, standing on his handkerchief. It's a known thing. The Baal Shem Tov used to do that. He'd have the handkerchief on his belt. He would put it on the water and he'd stand on it and he would cross. And Baal Shem Tov said he never did it any Kabbalah holy names, and it's just Emunah Pshuto. This is how he crossed. So he saw the Baal Shem Tov crossing the river, without any ferry or a boat or anything. And he started screaming out, Rebbe, help me. The Baal Shem Tov couldn't hear him because, the water were making noise. It was very far. So that poor villager didn't look much. And he did the same thing. He took his kerchief, like the Baal Shem Tov, and put it on the river and stood on it. And there was a miracle. The kerchief took him, ferried him to all the way across the river. And when he got close to the Baal Shem Tov, He started screaming at him. So Baal Shem Tov heard somebody calling out to him. He turned his back and he saw that the villagers also floating over the water, standing on his kerchief. He understood immediately that the farmer merited this kind of kedusha by the tefillas that he used to say, with such tmimus, such innocence, without any sophistication. Back to Shem Shamayim. So the Baal Shem Tov told him, if you managed to cross the river like I did, get back to your home and continue davening the way you always did. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from you. Ad kan Simon Baal Shem Tov. But what is that to say? Sweetest lesson of the Baal Shem Tov, the intense love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to the simplest Jew. Hashem should help us, B'ezrat Hashem. Should all be simple Jews, do avodas Hashem with utter simplicity, and B'ezrat Hashem, Nachamu Ami. Very soon comes, Tu B'Av, one of the happiest day in the Jewish calendar. B'ezrat Hashem will be zocher to see the Binyan Hamikdash and the coming B'ezrat Hashem of Mashiach Tzidkenu soon. B'ezrat Hashem in nowadays. Shkoyach, and thank you for being here.